Well, first let me briefly comment on the previous statement. The presentation was as if it was volitional, that transgender people would choose to, and other people would just choose to assume an identity that's not theirs. The reality is, the data is, the science is that this is genetic, it's physiologic, and people don't get to choose. They are born who they are, and so this is not volitional. The second, to answer your question, Michael, very specifically, no, gender dysphoria is not a mental illness. Gender dysphoria is the result of anxiety and stress created by an external environment that forces children and youth and adolescents to be people who they are not, and to live in an environment that's not functional and it's not, not nurturing. And so the physiology behind this is really important. And if I just go through this a second, and again, to dispute somewhat of my colleague on my left here. So gender dysphoria and the issues we're talking about, in particular for youth, create an environment where there's substantial stress experienced by children and youth in an environment that doesn't recognize them, doesn't provide an identity for them, doesn't provide a place for them. We know the impact now down to the methylation of the gene, down to actually how the gene is translated. That toxic stress then results in substantial changes in the physiology of the brain and brain development. We know that from multiple studies, the adverse child experience studies out of Kaiser Permanente. This impacts brain development, it impacts impulse control, it impacts issues related to behavior and risk-taking behavior, not only in children, but along the entire life course into adulthood. And anybody who doubts that or questions it, just go on and look at adverse childhood experiences, and you'll see a substantial amount of data over the past 20 years that legitimizes this. So we have gender dysphoria caused by external environment, resulting in toxic stress for children during their peak brain development, resulting in major changes in not only behavior and mental health issues, but also coronary artery disease, also stroke, diabetes, and so on along the entire life course. So what would an HRO do? An HRO that includes the issues that we're talking about today. Not going to solve everything, but it would provide an environment in which children and youth would know where their place is, know they have an identity, have the capacity to grow and develop in an environment where there's decreased stress. And when you go talk to youth themselves, they'll tell you that. They'll tell you very specifically that implicit laws don't count. It's the explicit laws, the explicit environment that really makes a difference in their lives. And so the HRO would provide that, provide an opportunity for hope, provide them an identity, provide them some very specific protection from discrimination and the sorts of things we're talking about. And I would ask the mayor, I'd ask the city council, I'd ask everybody here, if that's not important, why do we have any human rights laws? Why do we have any?